Hey folks, this is John Becker, State Representative from Claremont County, 65th House District, and today I bring to you the August edition of the Becker Report. The Becker Report is my monthly newsletter that you can subscribe to at beckergop.com. So you go there, subscribe, you can find the current edition, which is the August edition, and over the left-hand side you can see archives, or you can just send me an email at john@beckergop.com. So the August edition, it's all about impeachment of Governor Mike DeWine. And I want to read you some excerpts from the August edition and discuss it a little bit. So first off, it starts with some polling numbers. There was an ABC 6, Fox 28 TV news poll that came out of Columbus. It had 18,420 participants. 83% of them said we should impeach Mike DeWine. 83% for impeachment. Saw some other polls. There was a Vindy poll I saw. It was a snapshot on somebody's cell phone, showed 72% for impeachment. There's a Mahoning Valley poll that I believe is currently going on. Last time I checked, I think it was 73% for impeachment, about 1,000 people or so. There's another at I think the radio station poll that showed it was about another 1,000 or so people, showed 93% impeachment. So clearly, across the state, there is a very strong support for impeachment, at least amongst the people answering these online polls. So I also want to talk to you about who's on the other side of this. Who are the people that are opposed to impeachment? Well, they're contacting me and they're telling me who they are. They're saying, this is the reason I hate Republicans. I've always hated Republicans. I've never voted Republican. I'll never vote Republican. Those are Democrats, generally speaking, and they hate DeWine. I'm sorry, they hate me. They hate President Trump, and they love Governor DeWine. So it is, in addition to them, it is liberal Republicans, and they are the never Trumpers, because sometimes they tell me, yeah, I'm a Republican, I hate Trump, and I hate you, and I love DeWine. So it's Democrats, it is liberal Republicans, and it is never Trumpers. Those are the people that are in the minority that are opposed to impeachment of Governor Mike DeWine. So, some of my colleagues have pushed back and said, we need to be doing this legislatively. And frankly, I agree. Legislation was the way to do it, and we have tried that. And the governor has promised to veto everything that we put out there, attempting to roll back his power. So, an example of that is Senate Bill 55. Other examples of what he has intended or stated he would veto is Senate Bill 1 and House Bill 618. The two Senate bills are waiting on the Senate to do something. We could attempt an override vote. Apparently the votes are not there for a successful override. It does take a supermajority in both chambers, where impeachment only takes a simple majority of 50 votes, at least in the House, and 2/3 in the Senate for removal from office. So then a question has come up as, does impeaching a governor create a constitutional crisis? I would say no. Impeaching an out-of-control governor actually solves a constitutional crisis. And I did come up with some examples of what does in fact create a constitutional crisis. And I'm going to read through those. So for example, a constitutional crisis is when a governor cancels an election under threat of criminal charges, up to 90 days in jail and a $750 fine. And all these are in the August edition of the Becker Report. And in those polls that I mentioned, there's links to find those polls as well. So you can find everything that I'm reading here. So the second bullet point, I got like 14 of these. Second bullet point, a constitutional crisis is when a governor reschedules an election. A constitutional crisis is when a governor places nearly 12 million people, 12 million Ohioans, under 24/7 house arrest with a limited number of government-approved exceptions. And again, under threat of 90 days in jail and a $750 fine. A constitutional crisis is when a governor assumes dictatorial power. A constitutional crisis is when a governor violates the separation of powers doctrine by creating new law via the Ohio Department of Health. A constitutional crisis is when a governor arbitrarily and capriciously picks winners and losers amongst businesses and decides which ones can operate at what capacity and what business hours under threat of criminal charges of 90 days in jail and a $750 fine. A constitutional crisis when a governor prohibits hospitals, doctors, dentists, opticians, the list goes on, the healthcare professionals, prevents them from treating patients for elective and preventive care under a threat of criminal charges, 90 days in jail, and a $750 fine. A constitutional crisis when the governor orders schools to close without regard to the authority of the state school board under threat of criminal charges, 90 days in jail, $750 fine. A constitutional crisis when the governor orders the general public to wear face coverings without regard to civil liberties under threat of 90 days in jail and a $750 fine. A constitutional crisis when a governor orders congregants in houses of worship to wear face coverings under threat of 90 days in jail and a $750 fine. A constitutional crisis when a governor holds business licenses hostage and requires employees to wear face coverings, hence creating a hostile work environment under threat of 90 days in jail and a $750 fine. A constitutional crisis when a governor violates the Commerce Clause of the U.S. Constitution by prohibiting the people of Pennsylvania from purchasing liquor in Ohio under threat of criminal penalties, 90 days in jail and $750 fine. Constitutional crisis when a General Assembly commits nonfeasance by failing to impeach a governor for multiple crimes, including violations of the U.S. and Ohio constitutions. A constitutional crisis is when the General Assembly commits nonfeasance by failing to impeach a governor for multiple transgressions of misfeasance and malfeasance in office. So some would ask, well, what crimes has the governor committed? Well, he has clearly committed a crime, Ohio Revised Code 292145. And again, this is all in the Becker Report, the August edition. So a violation of civil rights. When you violate constitutional rights, civil rights, statutory rights, that is a crime under the Ohio Revised Code 292145. And of course, rescheduling the election for March 17th was a crime. That's in Ohio Revised Code 350101, specifically Section E, subsection 2 of that statute. And rescheduling the election, same crime. So, clearly, he could be, in addition to impeachment, Governor DeWine could be charged criminally. And maybe that's the answer. I don't know. Then you have, other people coming out and quoting Daffy Duck, saying, you're despicable. If you're a conservative Republican and you believe in the liberty and the rule of law, and you want to impeach Governor DeWine, the 83% or as high as even 93% in some of these polls, you're despicable. So I hope insulting the base of the Republican Party, I hope that is going to drive turnout and somehow motivate people to get out and vote to get our Republican ticket elected. And just for the record here, I support the entire Republican ticket this November, especially President Trump. Some have argued that the articles of impeachment should have waited until after the election. So this should be political calculations should occur. So to that comment, I listed a number of items here. I'm going to read through these. Tell that to the hurting people who have just lost a family member to suicide because of depression, despair, and loneliness that the Governor DeWine has inflicted upon them. I say tell that to the people who have invested their life savings and their heart and soul into a business that Governor DeWine has taken away from them. Tell that to the million or so Ohioans who have lost their jobs and suffered the additional indignity of being unable to reach the Ohio Department of Job and Family Services to handle their unemployment claims. I say tell them all to just hang in there for a few more months until we get this election behind us. And what you're going to find out is this is the reason so many people hate politicians. They hate politics. They hate the establishment. They hate the swamp. And it's because of all these political considerations instead of just stepping up and showing some backbone and doing the right thing. So I've also been asked, so Becker, you're just doing this for political benefit for yourself. Okay, help me to understand what that might be, because I'm in my 8th year. We have term limits in Ohio, and I'm one of the few elected officials who support term limits, and I'm done here. I'm not going to be back in January. I'm not going to be on the ballot in November. So I don't know what my political future might hold, but I don't know how this is helping me, especially when I got donors that are calling me and they're not happy. So, so also I told you all, this isn't going to go anywhere because the speaker's not supporting it. Well, the Speaker's not currently supporting it. I'm hoping he changes his mind, but it may be true that this isn't going anywhere. But this is where it gets back to you, the people. You, the citizens of Ohio, need to get a hold of your state representative. Go to impeachdewine.com. You can find out who your state representative is there. You go to ohiohouse.gov and find out who your state representative. Contact them. If they don't see the light, maybe they'll feel the heat. And then that's how we can get things done. I also want to just kind of briefly go over the articles of impeachment, the preamble, this just kind of very quickly. So it starts with a preamble. That's really my favorite part of it because it explains kind of the history of impeachment in Ohio, where you find the authority inside the Ohio Constitution for impeachment, and there's a number of references in there. So then Article 1. That's the first article. It just talks about the separation of powers doctrine that the governor has violated. Article 2 is about illegally canceling the March 17th election. Article 3 was about illegally rescheduling the March 17th election. Those are two separate crimes there. Article 4, this article is about illegally and arbitrarily, capriciously shutting down businesses and healthcare facilities. Article 5 is for illegally shutting down schools, requiring face coverings, and it also has to do with due process in that article. Article 6, this has to do with incompetence with regard to acting on wildly inaccurate COVID-19 forecasts. Yes, incompetence is an impeachable offense, and I've explained that in the preamble. Now, some of my colleagues say, hey, we really don't want to be impeaching for incompetence. We think we should just impeach, criminal offenses are the only reason to impeach. Well, okay, fine. There's plenty of criminal offenses here that he could be impeached for. There's 10 articles. That's why you have hearings in the House. They're called impeachment hearings, and it's the House committee that hashes through what they believe the governor should be put on trial for. Whether that's includes incompetence or whether it's just the criminal offenses, and maybe narrow this down to, I don't know, half a dozen articles that actually pass the House rather than all 10. But that's what the committee hearings are for. This is just to get things started. And then Article 7, that has to do with illegally placing nearly 12 million Ohioans under house arrest, another due process violation. Article 8 has to do with illegally violating the free exercise of religion, threatening worshipers with a $750 fine and 90 days in jail for being in a house of worship without a face covering. Just ridiculous. Article 9, Governor DeWine illegally violated civil liberties by requiring the general public to wear face coverings and made Ohio a hostile work environment. Article 10 has to do with the governor illegally prohibiting the people of Pennsylvania from purchasing liquor in Ohio, and that's a violation of the due process clause. So again, folks, it's up to you all to make this happen. You need to be relentless. Get on Facebook, send email. So that's rep01, rep01 at ohiohouse.gov, all the way through rep99 at ohiohouse.gov. To contact each one of your state representatives. So with that, I'm going to refer you to www.beckergop.com, beckergop.com to find this newsletter, subscribe to the Becker Report, contact me at john@beckergop.com. And hey, thank you all for watching this video. And hey, subscribe to my YouTube channel. I didn't even know what a YouTube channel was a week or so ago, and now I've got like 99 subscribers or something like that. So please subscribe and let me know what your thoughts are, and have a great day. Bye-bye.